Hey golf people, I'm at Edwin Watts here in North Tampa, and today I'm checking out the Ping i59. This thing is forged. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. Let's see how it performs. Wait, did someone say forged? Because I did a little research and these clubs actually aren't forged. Wait, what? I know, it says forged on the club, directly on the club. And yet these clubs, the part of the club at least where you strike the ball, where you want that nice feeling, forged, buttery, soft gloriousness, it's not there because that part is not forged. If you don't know the difference between forge and cast, forge is just a much softer metal due to the process on how it's made. A cast club is going to have a mold. Those molds require a harder type of steel for it to go in there and bond to that shape. Now with a forged club, there's more hand finishing involved and there's more like heating up of the metals. Think of like Game of Thrones where they're making swords and horseshoes and armor and all these things where there's literally someone shaping this piece of metal. I don't know if they're banging with hammers and things like that, but you know, in some ways they're at least finishing it off, and it requires a softer metal. Now that softer metal also gets nicked up when those clubs are rattling around in your bag and your buddy goes over those big bumps in the cart and your bag falls off the cart and all that good stuff. There's nicks that appear all over forged clubs. So that's just one thing you have to deal with when you have a forged club. So what are we left with then? We're gonna have clubs that have all these dents and nicks in them, and we're not actually getting that nice forged feel to balance that out. I gotta say, I'm scratching my head a little bit on that one. That red dot there is the Ping Dispersion. Really, really tight. Yeah, so here's the thing. These clubs are actually really good, at least really good for a specific type of player, which I'm going to tell you about here as we progress. But man, as you saw there, the dispersion was incredibly tight. They have really good feel, and so I guess I can get over the fact that they're not actually forged on the face where it counts. And if the performance is there, then all is well and good in the world. If you actually look at how these clubs are made, it's pretty amazing. I mean, golf technology continues to impress and to wow me every step of the way. So these clubs use Alumicore technology. Basically, there's an extra little insert inside of there, so it's not hollow like some of the clubs that we've seen with the HMBs from Mizuno or those TaylorMades. There's literally some sort of aluminum insert in there that is semi-hollow, but not completely hollow, if that makes sense. And that's going to probably give you a little bit more of a spring-like effect, I'm assuming, to give you a little bit more forgiveness. We know Ping clubs are all about forgiveness. If you saw my G425 iron review, you know that I love the way the ball reacted off the club face on less than center contact, which I make a lot, honestly. I think all of us average mere mortals out there certainly do that. I tend to hit it a little low on the face, and even on those low shots, the ball was flying. I saw this with the Pings. They're extremely forgiving. They feel pretty good. Now, do they feel as good as my current gamers, which are the Sim 2s? Honestly, I think the Sim 2s, even though they're a cast club, they just seem to feel a little bit nicer. The Pings felt great, but I think those even felt a little bit better, believe it or not. But man, I really liked the workability of this club. I was testing a 7-iron. I didn't have a full set there, unfortunately, but I feel like I can get a pretty good idea of what they can do with that club. I was getting incredibly tight dispersion, as you saw here. My distance was definitely down, and we're gonna go through the exact stats here, head-to-head comparison against my Sim 2s, but that's clearly not an apples to apples. Obviously, I'm playing a club that has a pressed loft. The loft on these clubs at the 7-iron is 34 degrees, so a little bit more traditional, not completely traditional. In fact, they actually have 3 loft specifications for these clubs. You can get a pressed loft, you can get the regular loft it comes with, and you can actually get a classic loft, which is even more lofted. I don't know why anyone would want that, but that's available if you do. Now, who are these clubs best suited for? I'm gonna say these clubs are best suited for single-digit handicappers. I think as a high-digit handicapper, I'm not sure you can fully appreciate what these clubs can do, but as a single-digit handicapper and someone who's got good swing speed, because listen, I'm a 4.5 right now, I'm a pretty low handicapper. However, my swing speed is just not good enough for these clubs. Let's break down the data so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, and you'll have a better understanding of what I mean by that. So I took out first my recent gamers. After a little bit of warm-up, of course, I got nice and warm and took out the Sim 2s. That's what's been in my bag. The Sim 2s I have gained a lot of distance with lately, but as I mentioned, of course, the lofts are quite pressed. But I've found that the trajectory is still pretty good. They still hold greens fairly well with a few exceptions, but for the most part, they are really nice. Now you can see I was hitting these really good, making really solid contact. All right, so some good strikes there, especially towards the end with the Sim 2. And what I'm seeing here, this is the raw data with a couple of bad shots in there, but my average carry 151, my average total distance 161. I had a high of a shot that went 173, another went 170. So pretty good numbers there. In terms of spin, backspin, we're looking at 4,600, so a little bit on the lower side for a 7-iron. And we've got a peak height of a pretty nice 33 yards. Is that in yards? Yes, it is in yards. There's so many different calculations when it comes to this stuff. All right, so pretty good start there. I'm gonna go with the Ping i59 here next, and we'll see what this one will do. Now, I will say the 7-iron of the Sim 2 is set at 29 degrees, I believe. And the Ping i59 is at 34 degrees. So that's a big difference. That's a 5-degree difference. So we're not going to see the same, by any means, we're not going to see the same distances. But let's see what the other stats look like, and let's see how the feel is. I've tested a couple of shafts already, and I've found that the KBS regular flex is the best one for me with this particular club. This is the Tour. So let's give it a few swings. So I loved looking down at these clubs first and foremost. These are truly a player's iron with a nice thin top line. I hit these things very well, but as you can see, my distance was considerably down. Now, of course, the loft makes a big difference there. But as I got a little bit warmer here, the distances started to improve a little bit to something I would say was pretty acceptable. I'd love to be anywhere over 150 with a 7-iron, worst case scenario. As you can see, so tight on that dispersion. I'll keep talking about that throughout the video, but it really was, and really liked what I saw. This is the raw data exactly, all my good hits and my bad hits as well. First off, we'll look at swing speed. Swing speed with the Sim 2 was at 74.4 miles per hour. That is 3 miles per hour more than the i59s, which I was at 71.4. Now I've got comparable shafts in there. All things being equal, I felt like I was taking the same types of swings. For some reason, the Sim 2 is just a little bit higher. I saw that with the driver as well. I had an extra few miles per hour with the Sim 2 driver, and maybe they've built some aerodynamics into these clubs, the AI has, that makes them just go through the air, cut through the air a little bit better. That's the only thing I can chalk it up to, because I feel like I was taking the same swing, and it's the exact same session, same day, same simulator, everything else all being equal. It was 3 miles per hour difference. So let's see how that translates into the rest of the numbers like spin and carry and all that good stuff. First, we'll look at carry. Carry distance really being the most important of the two distance numbers, because every simulator kind of tacks on that total distance number, but carry distance is really what counts. So that's what we're going to go off of mostly. 151 for the Sim 2. With the Ping i59, we're at 138. So a considerable difference there. If you look at the total distance, which again is kind of a calculated number, 161 with the Sim 2 and 146 with the Ping i59s. And that's pretty much what I've seen on course with the Sim 2. In fact, there are days I hit it even longer. I might go 165, 170. In fact, you saw a few shots there. Went 170, 173 here on the simulator. So that's pretty close to what I'm doing in real life. And the other thing I'll say here is peak height. They're both at 33 yards. Now, if we look at total spin, of course, the Ping i59 with its higher loft at 34 degrees is going to produce more spin. Trajectory is the same, but more spin. 5983 RPMs versus 4614 for the Sim 2, so about give or take 1200 RPMs difference with the Ping, which is really nice to see. In terms of dispersion, I found the Ping to be incredible. It's just like every time I hit it, it was in pretty much the same spot. I was taking two different types of swings here today. I was taking more of like a fade-ish type swing and more of a draw type swing. And every single time those balls were landing in a very, very tight little circle. Now, I do think that these might be probably the best looking clubs that Ping has ever made. I've never really been attracted to the looks of a Ping club. The putters are fantastic. I love the way those things look, but in terms of irons, I've never really loved the look of a Ping iron. Some people do. Some people feel very confident. They love the looks of them. It's just not me. This is a beautiful looking club. I would be proud to showcase this one in the back of my bag, but you know, it's got to perform, and this one just isn't for me. But it is going to be for some people out there. I think it's a pretty narrow set of people. Again, got to be low handicap, or got to be someone who's got 105-mile-an-hour plus swing speed, I would say. And if you're in that category, you're absolutely going to love it. If you're someone who is struggling to get the ball up in the air, if you're someone who is like me, who's got sub 100 swing speed with the driver, you know, this just isn't probably going to be the club for you, but that's the great thing about clubs. There's something for everyone. I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, check out the G425 video I did, because those irons are for a lot of people out there. I think these two irons work really well together. I don't think there's much overlap there, which is really nice. When you're building a brand, you've got to have a category for each individual out there. Ping is definitely doing that with its irons. These things are great. Forged gate aside, these things actually are really great for what they are and for who they're meant for. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, just do me a favor, hit the like button. That really helps this channel grow, believe it or not. Just that simple act helps me, help you, and a lot of folks out there as well. I can't wait to come back and see you again here on another edition of Let's Play Through.